Your story is waiting for you today. Your story has something new to say. But your story will only come out to play when you're alone. Alone. Alone in a room with invisible people.
The following episode may contain swearing. Alone in a Room with Invisible People is brought to you by hollyswritingclasses.com.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Galardo, the host of Alone in a Room with Invisible People. I'm here today with author and teacher Holly Lyle, and today's topic, how to write story beginnings. We kind of figured we could do a three-parter for you guys. So this is going to be how to do story beginnings, then we're going to do middles, and then we're going to do ends. And Holly and I thought that this was a pretty fun topic. So,
yes.
We just cut it into 3 parts because I could just imagine us trying to do all 3 in one.
That's not happening.
Yeah. Before we get into the topic, just like every week, we're going to talk about what we did this week. I think we're both kind of excited. So, Holly, you go ahead.
Okay. I had a really good week. And after last week, which was a really bad week, having a really good week was great. On Dead Man's Party, which is the story that I'm writing for the How to Write a Novel class, and which I am videoing 1 hour of roughly a week, I got my 1,250 words. That is down from the 1,550 because my chapters were running so long that I was going to be too long on the book. So I have had, seriously, wow. So I have had to cut my chapter lengths down to 1,250 words per chapter. So after I got my Dead Man's Party 1,250 words, I had my Marketing Tuesday. Woot, Marketing Tuesday. I am still fixing all the broken pages on my personal website. Big friggin' sneeze, yawn, blinding headache there. But, that's one day. So really boring Marketing Tuesday. Wishbone on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I came in with a total of 6,161 words for the week.
And so that's over your word count.
It is. Oh, my God. Yes, because it would have been 6,000 words even. But I came in a little over, and oh my God, I'm so excited about it. It is, things, twists. I have just twists keep popping in and taking the story and pulling it and moving it towards this thing that I know is coming, but they're doing it in such vicious, mean ways, and it's awesome. It is just awesome. Okay, and then lesson 32, I am a part of the way through that in How to Write a Novel this week, was what happens when your novel runs long. And this is, do you turn it into a really big book or do you turn it into a series? And I am walking people through the process of determining which of the two you do for any given book, because doing the wrong thing will wreck the story. So,
yeah, I could see it's being very dependent on the material as to whether or not you turn it into a really big book or a series.
Oh, yeah.
Because you would just have to have a lot of different things in there.
Yes,
for it to be a series.
It's a big difference between what can be a big book, what can be a series, and what cannot be a series. And you have to know what cannot be a series to see if that's what you're writing. Along with that, personal preference, because some people just love really big books, and then marketing considerations. So this lesson covers all of that.
Well, that's a deep, thick lesson.
Yeah, it's a good lesson. I'm really pretty pleased with the way this one's coming together. Your turn.
Okay. Well, you had a very, very good week. I had a good week, which after the last week and even kind of the week before, it felt like a fantastic week.
Good.
And if anybody hears the purring, I'm sorry. It's the I got I don't believe in writer's block. I really don't. Obviously there are some instances where it happens when there's a lot of trauma, something like that, that there is a genuine block there sometimes. You with the Prozac, and I'm not saying it's just Prozac. It's anybody's personal chemistry with any particular kind of drug.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of different medications and just prescription medications that can really screw things up.
Yeah, prescribed medication. not so legal drugs. There are even booze.
Yeah.
There are particular things that a lot of that affects your chemistry different. And as you get older, your chemistry changes, and what used to work may not work anymore. So
It gets a lot finickier.
I've noticed that too.
Yeah.
And I am not actually that much older, but I cannot drink alcohol. I can have maybe half of a small glass of wine every now and then. Has to be red because I can't stand white. And I still feel sick, like if I have a little bit too much. And I've never been like that. I used to love to drink, and now, and I feel like that's a good thing.
Oh yeah, you come from a long line of dedicated alcoholics on both sides of the family.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah,
good God,
like-
I had my family members killed themselves off at the age of 50 with booze. So
Yeah. And your father was an alcoholic, and you have
yeah.
other alcoholics in yours, and my father was an alcoholic, and I don't know how many people in my family were alcoholics because we were Southern, and you just didn't talk about that sort of thing.
yes.
That's bless his heart, and it.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, the point is, while I don't believe in a mental writer's block, there are certain things that your brain can be affected by, including like mental disabilities or mental wellness, mental health issues. And I've been struggling through depression, but this time I showed up to work every day. I showed up to the easel every day, or the sketchbook, and I told myself I wasn't trying to force it, but I was trying to just put anything on the page. In both instances, it didn't matter what it was. If I just did a certain amount of time and got things done. I also specifically started cleaning up little things, or trying to declutter things that were massive and felt overwhelming, and just put, like, I'm just going to do 10 minutes of this. All of those things together helped me feel more productive and helped me put myself in front of the computer, in front of the blank page more often, in front of the easel more often. And even if it was just an extra 20 or 30 minutes, even if I sat down and I said I'm only going to do 10 minutes, and then I ended up doing another two, when you're in depressive states, anything like that helps you feel like you are progressing, that you are making some sort of effort, and that you are able to still contribute to your own life or to your family or to whatever, makes a huge difference. And so does that Fly Lady thing where imperfect, I don't remember what it was, but her thing is about cleaning. So imperfect cleaning still blesses your family. And that's absolutely true. If the floor looks like shit and you like in the entire house, and you sweep and mop the kitchen, that still helps. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
I do.
I always think of it like, imperfect, like I don't have to finish this. I don't have to finish that. I'm just working through things. And even just a few minutes extra every day was working. So I got my sweet spot map done. And of course there is no getting it done. You can always, I love that you can always go back and you can always add more.
Yeah.
And the sweet spot map, for any of you who don't know, that's in her How to Think Sideways How to Think Sideways course, and her How to Write a Series course. It might be in other places too. So I got that done. I got the StoryCorps done. I got a lot of the research that I have been doing. I realized that it's kind of scattered. So what I want to do is I want to focus on, we're going to do an octopus map at the end of today. Just you and me.
Okay.
I know you said get that done and then we'll talk about it, but I got everything else done and I need your help with the octopus map.
Okay, no problem.
So yeah. And for this, I'm really, really excited. I got some basic ideas done. I am going to be sharing this with everybody as I work on it, because next week I am starting How to Write a Novel, and I am going to be taking this course, going to be trying to keep up with it week by week, and writing this book and sharing it with everybody. And I'm very, very excited about it, because it is a way that I'm hoping to turn my world building for Fulton Hills into stories and into a sellable product. Yeah, I want to turn the world building for me into stories for everybody else, but not bore them to death.
Right.
If you read Max Brooks's Zombie World War Z, this was before the movie came out. This was like I was 26 or something. Good Lord, like almost 10 years ago when I got the book. And I read it, and it felt like world building to me. Mm-hmm. Because there was a lot of interviews with people. There were a lot of descriptions. It was about this journalist who, at least I think it was a journalist, who was going from place to place during the zombie apocalypse, during the breakout, more or less.
Okay.
And interviewing and writing stories. And it was brilliant, but it felt like... It felt like at the time he was doing that, he was like, I'm going to do this world building. Holy shit, this is kind of cool. I'm going to sell it. It felt brilliant.
We're going to digress just a little bit here. I have been getting, again, a number of comments on my site, and also a number of private emails saying, well, you keep saying you can do this, but I never went to college. And I really need to stop here and say, when I say you can do this, I say this from the perspective of someone who could not afford college. I do not have a college education. When I was starting to write fiction, I had a 2-year associate degree in nursing from a local college that was a tech college when I went there, and became a community college about the week before I graduated, so that I could do little air quotes on, I went to community college, but in fact I didn't. I went to a tech college for a 2-year degree in nursing. And the only class we had was remedial English, which all of the nurses were forced to take because the majority of them couldn't spell or punctuate for shit. And I was not one of them, and the teacher of that particular class told me that I really didn't need to be in that class, which I already knew, thank you. But it was there. I taught myself how to write fiction, and I did it by writing a lot of fiction, by reading what was available at the time. There was no internet, so there was Writer's Digest, and there were books on fiction, and there were books of fiction, and I read and dissected things and took them apart.
I think you went to one or two, you dealt with actually one or two authors.
I had
briefly.
Stephen Leigh, Leigh, was a science fiction writer, and I took a Writer's Digest class, and it was on short stories. And he liked my writing, and he said I wrote very well, but I got the same thing from him that I later got from Charles Ryan, which was much, 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 much too much exposition. Thank you very much. Followed by learning what exposition was. So
it was basically the equivalent of reading like one really well-written book on writing.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was taking a short email, not email, physical mail class where I sent a manuscript to him and he sent his notes back to me, nicely typed up, back in the days before computers were really much of a thing. And then I went and stayed for 2 weeks with Mercedes Lackey. She invited me out. And basically from her, I watched how she dealt with her work, which was she did her 10 pages a day before she came out and hung out. After getting home from work, she was still working at an airline at that time, and had just sold like her first 3 or 4 books. She'd sold The Magic's Promise and Price. And
so you knew Mercedes Lackey before she was...
Before she was, Mercedes Lackey. She was, she was
so cool.
Yeah. She was already selling, but she was not selling enough to make a living at it just yet. So she was still working at the airline. And from her, I learned how to run a professional career. Don't treat your fans like shit. Answer your mails and your emails as quickly as you can when you can. Don't be a dick to your publisher. Don't be a dick to your editor. Get your work done on time. Hit your deadlines. Basically, don't be an asshole. Yeah. And she was really cool. She was very neat about that. So
But other than that, that's all the kind of extra stuff you had for teaching yourself how to write.
Yeah. Oh, and she let me read a couple of her typed out manuscripts. So I saw, and this was massively important, which is why I include actual full manuscripts of my first drafts in some of my work, is I saw what a first draft of a novel looked like. You know, how it was laid out, typed, double spaced, with, you know, a half-inch indents, how it felt, how it was a physical object that had an enormous amount of meaning to me, because I saw that it was not perfect in first draft. There were errors and things in there that you had to fix later. But this was what the job looks like. And when you have produced this thing, it doesn't look like a book. And there was this conceptual click in my head that made me understand then that this was something completely doable.
I am so blessed, right? Like, because I never had to have that moment. But at the same time, I'm realizing like these different things. Like when you finished Glenraven, you gave it to me in this big, thick, printed out. That's what I got. Mm-hmm. You know, and I don't remember if what you gave me, it was when we were living in the trailer in Hidden Village.
Yeah. Oh, the flea place.
Yeah, the flea place. That was bad.
Oh God, that was an awful place. It was a rental. It was a nightmare.
Yeah. The I remember feeling this kind of magical feeling of, this is a manuscript. Like I never had, because I've seen you doing it all my life pretty much. You know, when you start making sense of things, you're about 5, 6, 7, when you start paying attention to the world around you and things like that. Especially if, like, I was reading at 6, so I was making more cognitive leaps, I guess. And I remember seeing you printing off the manuscripts, you know, seeing you do certain things with pages, seeing you giving me Glenraven when I was 11. It was so cool. And I got to sit there and I was reading it and I freaking loved it. And I was reading it when I should have been in bed, you know? And like, how freaking cool is that? Like, us bookworms, we always get in trouble with the light and reading a book under the pages, you know, because I got in trouble with Harriet's the Spy when we were living in Todd Circle for staying up and reading. And you were never that mean about it, because I think you understood.
Oh, I understood.
Of course. But to be doing that with your mom's writing, like, that's just so cool. But I grew up with the concept of that being a book.
Right.
So I never had that moment, but I did always feel the magic of having that finished manuscript and reading it. It was just so cool.
Yeah, and
so I get that.
For me, you know, that was the thing that made it physically, tangibly approachable. That, and having seen that first manuscript that my fellow nursing students had done with her friend, which, you know, was not good, but it was done. So anyway, but that is off topic. The college thing is a complete non-starter. There is if you want to write fiction, do not get yourself $60,000 or more into debt with a university that is not going to teach you how to write fiction as a job. It's not what they do. Yeah. If you want to do it, you just start doing it. You start writing your fiction. You start sending it out. You start going through, or you start taking it, putting it in front of beta readers. You start going to writers group meetings. You start talking through this shit and figuring out what kind of fiction you love and why it matters to you. You take such classes as you can afford. And I will say that I have been told over and over again I have to raise my prices. And I keep my prices what they are because I was a broke writer. And I know what it's like to try to find good information on writing. And and then to have it be these insane prices that colleges charge to not teach you what you need to know. Screw that.
Yeah, even two things here. Okay, just from my perspective and for what I'm saying. I have seen a couple other courses out there from writers, and I will look into them, like these master classes. Look at the reviews from people who are taking these courses before you actually do them, because the reviews are from people who did pay the money. Because I can sit here and talk about how amazing my mom's courses are left and right all day, but you guys know I'm her daughter, so I get the daughter price, which is usually free. I will spend my money to buy certain things and send them to friends, which I have several times. But I do get them for free. And she's also my mom. So you guys, there's a certain amount of, but, I don't know how
right.
awesome, it really is, because that's her daughter. So look at the reviews for everything, because I can tell you, I have seen more people disappointed with those master classes that they are advertising. The people, like, I actually wanted to take it because of the R.L. Stine bit. R.L. Stine is doing part of a master class.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the reviews, you get all that's what I'm saying. It's like it's supposedly it's overpriced for a couple of, like, for maybe an hour or so of information, where versus you have larger price tags, but you do also do monthly payments.
Mm-hmm.
And there is so much more information in there that you really should raise your prices, but I understand that you're not going to specifically because of that reason.
Right.
And I respect that.
Because I have to, I know who I was, and I knew what it took for me to get where I am. And I don't want to be the person who puts myself out of the reach of people like me.
So that's just one thing is like, look at the reviews for these things, talk to people who have taken the classes, because believe me, 99% of them are going to want to talk about what they just spent money on, and I'm not saying like, oh, they're going to give you all of the lowdown, the Cliff's Notes, so you don't have to take it. I'm just saying that they will be honest because they put their money into it.
Mm-hmm.
And two, one of my friends is going through college. I'm not going to say which one, but a lot of it was literary, the focus. A lot of it was, and this is recent. So taking the literary route through college, they have you learn particular things about different styles. They have you write in different styles, but everything that is taught is technical. And when they talk about things, it's like, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, this is what good writing is, and it makes you doubt your own voice, it makes you doubt your own style, it makes you doubt the genres that you want to write in, it makes you doubt your passion. It is starting to dissolve.
If you want to write in a genre, let me just say, if you want to write in something that is actually defined as a genre, do not expect colleges to be at all supportive.
Yeah, because they are all about the literary fiction. They're all about, Catcher in the Rye was a good book. But,
I hated it.
Oh, see, I didn't. But there are a lot of books that are good books that they go over. A Tale of Two Cities.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're now, I don't know if those were the ones that I saw, but those are the ones that I've been told from other people. But there is a lot of passion sucking that comes from the colleges and from the teachers and everything. So a lot of people have come to hear certain things that Holly says or read certain things from the blog and say thank you, because I really needed to hear that. Or I
get a lot of college students who are in post-college recovery in my classes.
Yeah.
Where they lost their dream and got funneled into something that they didn't want to do because they went to college to write fiction. And that breaks my heart.
Yeah. Well, that's awful, because you're going somewhere expecting to learn how to do this thing that you really, really want to do. Mm-hmm. And all they do is crush your spirit. And that is pretty much public school, in general. It's just, there are certain things you need a college degree for. Being a doctor, You know, I would not want to go to a doctor that didn't have a college degree.
Right.
So,
No. Yeah. There are things that require a certain amount of.
and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with technical school either. You went to technical school to be a nurse. I
Yeah.
know tons of my family has on both, or on this side, Tony's side.
Mm-hmm.
Tony went to school, a technical school for EMT and firefighter. So we're not shitting on schools at all.
No.
But yeah, so if you do have any more questions, because we do kind of have to get to the actual point of the episode right now.
Yes.
If you do have any more questions, please let us know. You know, we'll have a topic in there in our podcast forum specifically for questions about the college thing. And if we get enough interest, maybe we can do an episode on the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know this is something that Holly has been passionate about and answering questions about for years.
Yeah.
So she didn't go to college either, and look at what she has been able to do.
Right. Right. You know, I had a 17-year commercial professional writing career with big name publishers. You know, big name New York publishers have been translated into a bunch of languages. My favorites are my Matron series was translated into Russian, and I have the copies in Russian, and I love that. It's you. When I say you can do this, let me just get back to that. When I say you can do this, if you are willing to throw yourself into it, if you are willing to do the work, if you are willing to really dig and do what it takes to do it and not compromise, you honest to God can do this. Becky is currently going the commercial publishing route with part of her work because she promised her husband that she would. Her work is commercially publishable. I have read it. He has read it. We are both, we do this.
Yeah.
And the story that she has out there right now is a good novel. I think it's probably too good for the place that she's got it. Because it has unique personal elements in it that make it stand out rather than being just another piece of crap to be hammered down. And with that, how is that going?
Well, yeah, and I just wanted to say too, like, not everybody who writes for Silhouette or Harlequin or any of these, well, Silhouette's gone now. I think Harlequin bought them out. But and you know, we're not saying that all of that's crap. There are some really fantastic writers out there.
Yes, there are.
And they are opening up different lines to try to attract different kinds of writers, and they're getting really progressive, which is great. But the thing is, I am using this as an experiment now to show people, because I don't want to go the traditional route, okay, the quote traditional route, because what has become the traditional route of going through commercial publication. I grew up seeing you struggle through it. The last few years, everything has gone indie, because when I was 23 or 24, Tony saw this passion in me. And to him, success, and to most people back then, you know, we're talking 2005, 2006, most success was traditional publication.
Mm-hmm.
Time has grown. Like, time has passed. I have grown. The indie route has grown. People are making big money doing independent fiction. My husband is very much, he was born 80 years old. He is the kind of person that I have no doubt would cut off his nose to spite his face. And he, for sure, you know, it's good intentions, but his thing was, you promised me that you would do this, so this is what you need to do. You know, and it's not bossy about it. If I broke the promise, we would still be married. but it's the point of, you know, you made a promise to me, and it would mean a lot if you kept it. So that is why this is still going on. However, this gives me a unique opportunity to show people what it takes out of you,
right,
to go the traditional route with a company that specifically has to have a high turnaround for novels,
mm-hmm.
because that's how they make their money, and they know their readers are, you know, whales, as you would call them.
Right.
Harlequin readers are the kind that go through books, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 a week. You know, they are the kind that that get all of the books and read through all of the books and are like, okay, well, what's next? So that company should have a fast turnover when it comes to book after book after book after publication. Okay, well, let's move this quick. How many books can we get from you as an author? And this is what I'm going through. I'm hoping at this point that they actually do want to publish it, because I want to be able to show other writers how long that takes. So far, if I hadn't gone through the depressive states, I probably could have had another 2 or 3 books written.
Right.
Because it has been, how many? I wrote it down. 8 months, 1 week, and 2 days. And I still haven't heard back. And I have sent them messages, 3 messages, asking at different intervals the times when, you're supposed to ask. And then after that, when am I going to hear back? And it was a professional question. It was a professional query, very respectful. Right. And the last one that I sent, the reply came back, well, your book is with the editing team or whatever it is that they call them, editorial team. And I'm going to go ahead and send this message to them. It was something kind of like, okay, well, she obviously saw that I had sent 2 other messages, so let's just kick it up a notch in the wording. And that was 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And with the "you should hear from them soon" tagline in there. So yeah, just to wrap this up, because I know we're really, really excited about the actual content. I am going to only go the traditional route with these books. And if they buy it, if they want to more, I will revise the second one that is already written, and I will write and revise the third one, which I already have a great idea for. I'm passionate about that particular romance.
And having read the first one, I would really like to read the whole series.
Yeah, I know you're interested in Brock and Angie.
I am. So the final thing I want to say on just commercial publishing versus indie publishing is it is a difference of perspective. And it's important to keep this in mind when you are considering what you genuinely want. There is a perspective that you need when you are looking at commercial versus indie publishing. When you are looking at commercial publishing, the author is a product, and your creations are simply a portion of the product that is you, which makes you something that is a profit and loss statement on somebody else's accounting sheet and makes you disposable. If you are an author, an indie author, you are then an author as a business. You are not a line on the accounting sheet. You are the accounting sheet, and every single one of your books is a product, and it is up to you to figure out which of these sell and which of these don't, and to focus on the things that you love that connect with readers. But there is no point where you become disposable. And having been multiply disposed of as a writer on publishers' line items from various publishers, having my works say, no, we're not going to continue this line in spite of the fact that you want to write in it. Or we are going to go in a different direction and we wish you luck in your future career elsewhere. I have to say that being a line item on somebody else's sheet and a mid-list author is a brutal position from which to make a living. I did it for 17 years exclusively. That was what fed my family. And it got hairy, and Becky knows the horror stories. And I recommend pursuing what you love. And if you want to go commercial publishing, by all means, all power to you. I wish you the best of luck. But do consider that you are not your own business if you are somebody else's author. You are only your own business if you are your own author.
Pennies. You make pennies off of,
God,
so, well, we can do an entire episode on commercial versus indie if, but
If there's interest in it. Yeah.
If there's interest in it. So that's 2 episodes that you guys, if you're interested in, like, needing college or, commercial versus indie. So getting to today's actual topic, it's how to write story beginnings.
Yes.
So let's get into it.
All right. There are a couple of little points about story beginnings. Weak beginnings are passive. Weak beginnings start with description, and weak beginnings establish normal. So what I'd like to do is to demo these. Let's demo a few weak beginnings for our listeners. So weak beginnings start at the beginning. That is the first thing that is a mistake. So do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Well, you need to go first because I don't know exactly how we're doing this, and I didn't write anything. So
no, we do not have anything written down for this. This is strictly off the top of our heads. I am going to start. I'm going to start with the classic bad beginning. Edgar Bulwer Lytton's. Yes, it was a dark and stormy night. Okay, that is a bad beginning, but a lot of people don't understand why. First off, if it's night and you're not living in Alaska, it's dark. So redundantly, it was a night. Okay, it was a dark, yeah, and it was stormy. Okay, stormy. Well, it was. There is no action there. There is no content. There's no conflict. There's no anything in that ending. Or in that beginning. So let me give you another bad beginning, and this one I'll make up for you. Let's see. So start at the beginning. Once upon a time, a little girl was born. Okay. She was born, and then she what? She threw up on her mother a bunch and wet her diapers, and they fed her, and 15 years later something happened, or 25 years later something happened, but once upon a time a little girl was, no. That's the beginning, okay? That's where things begin. So starting at the beginning is an issue. Do you want to give us a couple of bad beginnings?
Oh, I don't know if it's a bad beginning to a book, but I think it's a different one though. It's a different one on your list.
Oh, okay.
But it's something like, Jessica stood in front of the mirror, unhappy with what she saw. She was a college graduate and yada yada yada. And nobody liked her for her intelligence because she was just her blonde hair was too blonde and her blue eyes were piercing but too blue, and her boobs, she struggled with how big they were, and she just and her slender little waist just made her feel more of a waif, and
it made her ass look too big. It's like, oh, bite me.
Yeah. Yeah, but then again, you have that information about her past too. It's like she was this college graduate who studied, and she has three bachelors, 2 masters, and a PhD, and
yes,
you get this long-winded description of a character, of her background, of her past, and you get that feeling like, oh, she's just too fucking perfect. Okay, fine, I get it. Mm-hmm. There's and another one would be like Ray City was founded in 1829.
God, yes.
I don't know when Ray City was actually founded.
Well, yes, but a while back.
And
it's been there.
Yeah. And it was originally a booming town with, it was a train town with mills and that's actually true. Ray City used to be booming. That train brought in a lot of people, but then the highway came in and trains were out of vogue, and it just like this entire paragraph on Ray City's history.
Yeah.
That would be a great beginning.
Yes, to then pick up in 2018.
Yes.
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 So-
After
so-
3 pages or maybe an entire chapter on the history of the town, which again is that eating the elephant and then barfing the elephant up
Yes.
instead of letting the readers eat the cherries or berries or whatever.
Right, exactly, yes. Writers eat elephants and readers eat berries. And writers who put elephants on pages kill readers. So that's...
Yeah, those are two. Yeah, the beginning with the history of the world,
Yes.
or whatever it is that
Or
you're
the
reading about.
location, yeah.
Yes,
Or-
is very, very.
Or the technical beginning on this is how the technology works. If you are starting with spaceships and you feel the need to explain how a transfold navigational spaceship works and who invented it and what kinds of fuel it uses and what kinds of problems people have in folding through the universe from point to point in faster than light time while skipping over parts of space. And
Or they start on another planet, so you spend the first chapter explaining the history of Earth from the certain point to the point to where we got the power to have light speed travel, and then how the person got into the program to become a part of the person, people that travel to the planet to the point of where he is now on the planet. That is awful.
Yes. And please understand that I come at this from the point of view of a world-building whore.
And from somebody who has dealt with editors telling, basically, she tried to kill editors with exposition.
Yes, that I understand how you have built this fucking awesome world, because I have built some fine worlds, let me tell you.
Or you're a history nut.
Oh,
you could be
God.
a history nut, and you have
Yes.
passion for history, and you want to share that.
Yes, okay, and that's fine. And I will tell you that in my settled space novels, I have managed to use all of the awesome world stuff I built. But I did not do it all at once. I did not. In fact, I opened the very first line of the very first settled space novel, which is currently titled Hunting the Corrigan's Blood, which will get a retitle because, oh, yeah.
I'm not happy with that, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's not my book.
Yeah. In any case, I started that with my protagonist regaining consciousness to find herself welded into a locker with a corpse. Okay? That is a good beginning, because she is not entirely certain how she got there. She does not know why she's there. She does not understand. She
can barely understand anything because
Right.
she's out of her mind at that point.
Right, because she was beaten within an inch of her life, and welded into a locker with a corpse, and that's how I start the book, and that is. I have all of that stuff that I was talking about, the transfold navigational ships and the world building and how all of the science works and how all of the genetic engineering works and how all of these technical things that I built and loved in this whole series, but they are doled out in teeny tiny little pieces throughout the entire series, so that you don't even get a part of it in the first book, and you don't even get a part of it in the second book. You get just little tiny pieces, little berries dropped through the rest, because I learned that it is entirely possible to kill readers. So that is, you want a bad beginning does not start with description. A bad beginning does not establish what is normal. That's another important thing. It was a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and everything is fine, and everybody is hanging out together, and they're all you've got your gang of friends, and everything is going well, and you're showing them out on the basketball court playing basketball with each other, and then they all go home to their wonderful families who all love them, and they have fun dinners, and They get together to put on a play, and everybody has fun, and everything works, and that's you have run through. You have spent your opportunity to gain your reader there.
If somebody does that, they better kill somebody off at the end of the chapter or before then. You know, if there is this, I would say, because they say within the first page or paragraph or something, there has to be a twist or something, because you're trying to gain a reader, you're trying to gain a buyer.
Right.
But I mean, I could appreciate maybe the Stepford wives look at things to where you're dealing with an entire chapter of normalcy until the last twist at the end where everything you just read is fucked up.
Right. The only thing I will say in regard even to that is that people don't even have TV attention spans anymore.
Yeah.
People now have
Yeah.
YouTube attention spans. They have meme attention spans where if you don't catch them in the first line or two with something that is meaningful, something like, well, yeah, there's a woman welded into a locker who just regained consciousness and is looking at the corpse of a woman who was her waitress in a restaurant, and that's what she remembers, and she doesn't know what's going on. And that's in your first lines. Then you're going to lose the entire YouTube crowd.
Which might not be a bad thing, but at the same time, I mean,
Well, if they're
while you don't
reading,
want to
you
write
want
for
them.
everybody, yeah, you do want anyone who might be interested in your work.
Right.
So,
Right. You don't want people who are going to hate your stories. So you want to be.
you could start it off with someone was going to die soon, or not that exact phrase, but something that alludes to that, and then feed into the normalcy of everything, and then at the end show the twist. But
Right.
I mean, yeah, even that's pushing it.
Kiki walked past the kitchen and noticed that the butcher knife was missing from the knife block. Line 1.
What else is there in the beginnings?
Okay, weak beginnings are also passive. Okay, and again, this takes us back to it was a dark and stormy night. There's nothing happening. If you're describing lists, and I have seen books, and I have seen a lot of literary books specifically that start with lists. Bob went through his closet, admiring his Armani suits, his, I don't know, whatever expensive guy's shoes, the brand name briefcase, the special, whatever, long lists of just crap.
Yeah, it was like the one I mentioned where she's listing off her list of accomplishments and how brilliant she is, and then it's a bummer because she's so beautiful that nobody knows about her brain. Let me describe how perfect my body is. Yeah, that's another version of a list.
Right. So it is passive is showing is dragging your reader through something that does not engage the reader, that does not allow the reader get invested in what the character has at stake. And to have something at stake, you have to have, strong beginnings start in the middle. Okay, and now we're going to go through the list. So the weak beginnings start at the beginning. They start with a description. They establish what is normal, and they are passive. They include lists. They do not contain They contain no action. No action. People and the mirror opener is legendary. People use it all the freaking time.
Explain the mirror opening.
The mirror opening, when somebody is staring in a mirror.
Yeah.
So that because the writer thinks, this way I can show them what my character looks like.
Yep.
And so I'm going to have her looking in a mirror, or him looking in a mirror, or looking at a reflection in a lake.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of times there's even other kinds of reflections.
Any
like
reflective surface.
The romances are just known for having this scene in there where somebody is working and they catch a reflection of themselves and they stop and they look, or like walking past a car, walking past a storefront, and seeing their image on the televisions, because there's a camera facing out. It's like, yeah, the reader does not need a full-on description of your character after they stop and look at themselves.
And I have one exception for that rule.
Yeah, I was going to say, but you can always make a twist on it.
Yeah, I did a mirror opening. And the mirror opening that I did was in the Cat Creek novels. And my main character was looking at herself in a mirror and saw a green flash from a mirror that later ate her kid.
Yeah. See, now I could see that being like, I wanted to start one of my werewolf books with her stopping and looking at herself in the mirror, and she's changing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was like, fuck the goddamn mirror shit. It's in the romances all the time, and it's like, okay, dude, it's so fucking annoying.
Yeah.
But I wanted to put that in the Were series.
Exactly.
Because I really, really wanted to fuck with that.
Right, because if you can take it and do something really twisted and wicked with it, do it. Because it's such a cliche that if you can twist it and rip somebody with it and go, oh my God, you did that?
It's just beautiful. A little Easter egg for writers.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. It is this little thing that a writer will read and go, oh, ha, 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 yeah, awesome.
Yep.
And the reader will go, ooh, wow, I was not expecting that. I was expecting big tits and a tiny waist.
Yes.
So then you go to what works. Okay, well, what works is when you start in the middle. So now let me list the 4 strong beginnings. Strong beginnings start in the middle. Strong beginnings start with conflict. Strong beginnings establish abnormal, and strong beginnings are active. Okay, and with that, let me go ahead and give an example of a strong, let you go ahead and bring in a strong beginning.
Hi, this is Rebecca again, and just wanted to let you know we have a new testimonial today. This one is from Elise Tuck. Thank you very much, Elise.
Hi, my name's Elise Tuck, and I've been a student of Holly Lyle's for many years. I recently completed her How to Write Short Stories class, and it was an amazing game changer for me. In the class, she teaches you how to brainstorm short ideas, how to write those short ideas, how to revise those short ideas, which I really needed that lesson. And thanks to what I learned from the class, I now have 4 stories submitted to online magazines, and I'm in the process of revising a 5th one.
So if you're interested in how to write short stories, go to hollyswritingclasses.com and click on the shop. Thank you very much for listening.
All right, taking my example of the woman looking in the mirror. So my initial idea was she was a new werewolf and didn't know about it. So basically the book started off with her cleaning a no, that's right. She was during in the middle of a shift. So she basically staggers into the bathroom, holds onto the sink, looks up at herself in the mirror in pain, wondering what's going on. And it was funny. She started off describing herself in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It was, she looked into her green eyes, her brown hair, and saw the shift color.
Oh.
Yeah. Or her brown, she wiped her brown hair out of her eyes, looked up out of her green eyes just in time to watch them change. They shifted to yellow, and her body already racked with pain, begin this burning sensation as her flesh felt as if it was melting from her body, which I nowadays I would change the melting part because of how my science works. Mm-hmm. But that was the beginning. I wanted specifically for there to be that moment of, the casual, oh, I'm checking myself out in the mirror. Yes. With the she pulled her brown hair away from her face, but it was to look into her green eyes, which then shifted yellow.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice, yes. And you have included everything you need in there. You start in action. You do not show where she got bit or whatever it was that caused her.
Yeah, and nobody knew she was a waitress at the time or anything until her body started to tear open the waitressing. And she was at work in the middle of the shift. Yeah, in the morning at a diner. So
that's really awkward. Yes, so you start in the middle. You start with conflict, and again, we are going to mention the conflict argument yet again, because this is always going to be somebody's first episode, and conflict is not argument.
Well, repetition is also mother of skill. So.
Well, yes, that's true. So, conflict is when your character faces a problem, and the problem can be anything. The problem can be turning into a werewolf. It can be accidentally reawakening a mirror with a razor blade while you're scraping the paint off of it and happen to see yourself in it that will later eat your kid. It will be...
It could be somebody not turning into a werewolf.
Yes, it could be somebody who needed to turn into a werewolf and was counting on that happening and having it fail. That would suck. It is establishing abnormal, which does not have to be a big kind of abnormal, like turning into a werewolf. That's having a really bad day.
Yeah.
It can be having your car break down on a highway, which is abnormal. Generally, cars work, unless you had my old Vega. That car, its normal was abnormal. But you are, okay, and then you also, the strong beginning is active. The character was doing something. She was in pain. She ran into the bathroom. She looked in a mirror, but she was not looking at it to fix her hair. She was looking at it because she was in trouble. And
she was bent over grasping this porcelain sink at this cheap ass diner that she worked at.
Right.
And she looked up because everything felt like it was on fire, including her face, and everything ached and throbbed. And she's like, "What the fuck is going on?" Looking at herself.
Yeah, she was not in there to look at the mirror. She was in there for something much, much bigger, and the mirror was a convenient device that you could use to present her horrific new discovery.
Yeah, and at the same time mock all the mirror beginnings.
Oh yeah, all the mirror beginnings. Because yes, and again, that's mine was an intentional riff on that same thing. Just wait till you see what I do with this mirror. Yeah, so that's conflict is the core part of fiction. And I think sometimes it is so difficult for people to write good conflict, because to do it, you have to be mean to your characters. And in general, when writers start out, they are usually very nice people who want to do this very nice job, which is sit on your butt in a room with a keyboard and create something with your brain. And it's a nice job. It's a good job. There's no blood or gore in it. And as someone whose first job had a lot of blood and gore in it, or not my first job, but my first career, writing fiction, it is not dangerous, and it's not horrifying, and it's not heartbreaking. But you have to be able to put yourself into a position where you can bring these things from the outside world into your fiction. And
it is very difficult to sometimes, when you're creating characters that you really like or you really love or you have an attachment for, especially the more you use something, to just creating a character, not even inside of a book, but creating that character and learning about them and giving them their past, and putting parts of yourself in them, and then having to continuously make things worse for them, because that's kind of the point of the book is to just keep making things worse until the character can triumph, it's difficult. It's not easy because you really do love these characters.
Yeah, and there are days when you go into work and you feel like an ogre because you just did something horrible to somebody you really liked. And you know that before you get through, you're going to do something even worse. And then you're going to do something even worse than that.
Yeah. And I haven't really gotten to that ability yet. But I'm sure that's coming with the Fulton Hell's world because it's just rife with conflict.
Right. Well, there are different degrees of awful too. If you are writing romance novels, your degree of awful is much less intense than if you are writing paranormal suspense. If you're writing suspense, your awful can go pretty damn dark.
Yeah, or fantasy or magic. I mean, looking at the shit that happened to some of the like Talon, versus the stuff that happened to Kaylee in Leaving Wanda Lucia, it's nothing. But at the same time, being a motorcycle owner, being a biker with friends with bikes, and to have what happened to his bike happen to his bike, that actually, I was not comfortable writing that.
Oh yeah, no, that was
because your bike is your baby.
Oh, and that was so sad, man.
Well, and you're not even a person who particularly even likes motorcycles.
Yeah.
And you don't want your kids to be riding them or anything, but
that was an Indian chief that got just destroyed, wasn't it?
No, I think no. You're thinking of your parents, your grandparents.
My grandmother's
motorcycle.
bike.
Yeah, but it was just it's just difficult, but. That's the thing, is that when you create these characters and you put a part of yourself in them, you know what is going to hurt. And when you do it to the character, you're creating better fiction, but you're also hurting a part of yourself.
Yes. So there is a certain amount of masochism in this game.
Yeah.
So again, I'm gonna come up with just kind of another demo of a good, strong beginning. And I'm going to pull this off the top of my head. Okay, this is one I'm kind of floating around now. So I'm going to try it out on my readers. I have a character who is an orphan. She was raised by a series of unfortunate foster families. She never got a home. She has never felt loved. And she is now in her probably mid-20s. She is scrambling just to survive. And the opening for her is going to be that somebody knocks at the door in this crappy, vile little place that she lives, because she is now on her own, and she has roommates, and she is just struggling to survive at all. And this guy shows up, and he is dressed in a nice suit, and he has creepily combed hair. It's all just, hairspray. It looks heavily hairsprayed and possibly waxed. And his face is kind of the same. And he has this envelope in his hand that is old and worn and looks like a lot of people have held it, but nobody has ever opened it. And he asks her name, and she says, yes, that is her name. And he hands her this big kind of fancy envelope that says to recipient on it in handwriting. Not her name, just to recipient. And it doesn't have a stamp, but it's sealed. And he hands it to her, and she takes it, and he looks a little surprised when she takes it. And then he says, well, I need to see you open it. And she opens it, and something changes. Something snaps in the back of her head. And that's what I'm going to leave there, okay? That is the opening. And I'm not going to say really anything else about it.
Well, yeah, I want to know more now, though.
Good. Because that's what you want. You want people
Yeah.
to say, well, why? Why did it say to recipient? Why is it being brought by this waxed man?
Yeah, and what's going to happen to the wax man when she opens the thing? What snapped in her head? Why did she have to open it and nobody else has? Yeah, there's a lot of questions there, which is, yeah, like you said, what you want.
Yeah. That's the starter for my Ohio novel series.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's Matt and I have been bouncing those back and forth.
Yeah, so I have a question
Okay.
regarding beginnings. So in everything that we've done so far, we had a certain amount of this figured out beforehand. But that's not always necessarily the case.
No.
But so my question is like, okay, for plotters, how much do we need to figure out? For pantsers, what all do you need to figure out? Because you've done both. The Talismana was pantsed.
Talisman is a good example of why I don't pants too, by the way.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe we should try to get some information on Stephen King and why the hell he pants his stuff.
Yeah.
He's brilliant pantser.
Well, now, Dreaming the... No.
Dead Man's Party.
Dead Man's Party, thank you, is kind of semi-pantsed.
Well, that's the how to write a novel version of your pantsing,
of my
because you're still
pantsing.
going through, yeah.
Right. So you're kind of looking at, well, how much do people need before they start?
Well, yeah,
a
because
thing?
we're just talking about the actual beginnings, like the words and the first paragraphs and the first chapter.
Right.
But there's a lot of people out there that'll be like, okay, well, that's great, but how do I get to the actual beginning? How do I get to that point?
Okay. What you do first is you give your character a problem to solve. That is the very, very first thing you do. Have an idea of a character. Just one character is sufficient. And then what problem does that character need to solve? I will use my example from Dead Man's Party for this. The first scene introduces two characters. It introduces the villain, and it introduces a guy I had intended to be a throwaway character. And so I had the dead guy, or I had the villain come in, and I had him meet this guy, and they went into the back room so that the guy could show him different settings for this big pink diamond. The guy wanted to put set into a ring that he wanted to have given to the fiance, his he hoped would be fiance. And when they were in there, the customer, whipped out a knife and cut the guy's throat. Just into ear, guy falls over. And then it switches to the point of view of the guy. And I did not know this was going to happen until I started writing it, is the guy is lying there wondering how long it's going to take for him to die. And then he realizes his fingers are moving, and he's trying to cover the hole in his throat. And then he realizes that he's not breathing, but he's still thinking. And then he goes, well, this is peculiar. Only not in those words, obviously. Yeah. And he has bled out all over the floor, has exsanguinated. And he is up and moving and looking for some tape to tape his throat shut so he can clean up the mess. And that's where the story starts. And I had started writing, and I just got that thing, and that was all I had. And it was
you did have an artifact for the world and
right.
stuff.
I had,
but at the same time,
yeah. But this was not the artifact. This had nothing to do with the artifact. This was just bringing in the villain and showing the villain starting through his murder list, and this guy was not the first guy in his murder list. This was just the one where we were picking up in the middle of a story where this guy who is killing people shows up, and then it shows his very, very clever escape. And then it cuts back to the dead guy on the floor, and his fingers are moving, which was the part I did not expect. So what you need is a problem. You need a character, and you need a problem. And I thought that the character was the killer, and the problem was that he had to kill this guy. And it turned out, no, the character that really mattered in that, the killer is still a core part of the thing. He's one of the four main characters in the book, and we are down to almost the end now, and he's still there. But the other guy, turns out, was just absolutely crucial to this. And his problem was, why am I not dead?
Yeah. Or why am I dead but still here?
Why am I dead but
why
still
am
here?
I undead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And that is for plotters, for pantsers, for anybody. If you have a character and you give the character a problem, that's your step one. Step two is do not give your character the tools to solve it. My dead guy on the floor couldn't find any tape.
Oh, no.
He had to figure out a way to get the girl who worked for him, because he was the business owner. He had to figure out a way to get the girl who worked for him to run across the street to the hardware store and pick up some duct tape and bring it back for him, and then give him the duct tape without her seeing that his throat was cut from ear to ear. And that was a largish problem.
Yeah, that's funny because the girl who changed in the bathroom, her love interest was one of the cooks. So she's in there in the bathroom changing. She has no tools to stop the change. She doesn't know what's going on. She has no ability to stop the change. And then when she's changed, she is in essence a giant beast of a thing in this diner bathroom. And the funny thing is she doesn't know how to use the door.
Yeah, no opposable thumb.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the
so
thing that
she
keeps
can't-
Sheldon from being a worse cat than he is.
Well, this is a werewolf.
Yeah.
So a lot of them do have opposable thumbs.
Oh, really? As wolves?
Yeah, werewolves.
Oh, I never thought they had
Werewolves?
hands.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay, and
I'm
they're-
sorry, I forgot. You don't watch horror movies. Well, you watch some horror movies now.
Yeah, no, not
You've seen a
really.
few.
No, I'm still a wuss.
You've seen 28 Days Later, Mark said.
Oh, yeah, I had. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that was a
It's
good
been
one.
years ago.
But yeah, so a lot of werewolves do have the hands.
Okay.
But she is a brand new werewolf, never dealt with this body. She's got this massive power, so she tries to lean again on the sink to look at herself in the mirror because again, she's fucking changed. And she breaks the sink.
Oh, no.
It just falls to the ground and she doesn't there's a bit of comedy to it as well as this absolute freaking horror for her. And she's been in the bathroom so long and she's trying not to break everything. And when she's trying to open the door, it's such a small tiny knob for her giant werewolf hands and she's trying to turn it. Well, at the same time her love interest has, everybody's wondering where the hell she is. She's in the bathroom and she's sick, but there's a lot of animosity between the waitresses, even the friends, because, she was a very good waitress, so she got the better tables. She had the better section. Now she's not there. Some other waitresses are taking it. They're not going to go look in the bathroom for her. So yeah, well, it's also about making money too. There's a certain amount of waitresses tend to only make $2 or $3 an hour, not including tips.
Yeah.
So you better be on your section. So the guy in the love interest, the cook, even though they're slammed and his boss is telling him not to go check on her, he's like, okay, well, fuck this. I gotta go check her. She must be sick or something. So he goes because she was feeling sick. That was one of the signs, the symptoms that she didn't realize had a cause. So he goes and he checks on her and there's no answer and there's these really weird noises and he's like, what the fuck is going on? So he opens the door and he sees this gigantic motherfucking furry fucking thing that's just terrifying. And it seems to be, he yells and the thing yells and he like doesn't know what to do. He can't move. And the thing, instead of being this stupid, it was a flash of fur, it didn't, she just kind of walks out real slow, tiptoes around him, and he's just frozen watching this fucking werewolf just kind of like move around him real gently, and she has to squeeze because she's not going through the diner. She's going through the back exit. So she has to kind of squeeze around him and bumps into him and like looks at him and tries to speak, but there's no speaking. So she ends up growling her apologies and he like jumps and he fucking moves and it's what broke his standing still, so he bolts. And then she's like, he's gonna tell everybody about me, so she bolts.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
and
That's awesome.
like, the scene ends with her outside in the sunlight, and there are people back there. There's these the chefs that are taking a quick smoke break, and they're about to shit their pants because this werewolf just kind of casually walked out the push door, the exit, and yeah, and then she's just stuck there, terrified, not know what to do, and then she decides she has to fucking leave.
Yeah.
So she bolts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a neat twist on that first change as well, and that horror scene where everybody thinks they saw a dog, but they can't tell. And that always irritated the fuck out of me, because you know what? A werewolf, especially Hollywood's version, that's not a dog.
No.
It's almost like the gargoyle-ish demon dogs in Ghostbusters.
Oh God, yeah, I remember those.
Yeah,
Those were great.
Yeah. And it was kind of cute when all the coats were being tossed on its head and it was shaking its head. And all right, who brought the dog? It had red glowing eyes, but at the same time, that was more of a dog than a fucking werewolf.
Right.
So it was just, I wanted everything to be clear. I wanted him to realize this 7 foot tall furry ass beast thing is not, a dog.
Right.
And when they do end up going in there and looking, the change is always so nice and simple in Hollywood. Even if you look at American Werewolf on London, there's no blood. Mm-hmm. So I changed it.
Good.
There was a lot of blood and gore, and her clothes were everywhere, and there was no body parts.
They're going to think that the werewolf ate her.
Yep.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so the next thing. So we've got give your character a problem to solve. Do not give your character the tools to solve it. And then 3 is give failure consequences. So Becky's example here of giving failure consequences is excellent in that the uniform is left in the bathroom. There's blood all over the bathroom. The boyfriend sees this monster leave the bathroom. And the cooks out in the back, or whoever it is that's out in the waiters.
They were the cooks. There were 2 of them.
Yeah, okay. Out in the back are also seeing this monster leave the restaurant. In mine, I don't want to go into my consequences.
Yeah, so use something else. Use one of the other stories that you've written. How about the Kate Galway one?
Okay, well, no, let me, because that's another werewolfy kind of thing. So
yeah, well, that's probably why it was on the top of my head,
right,
too.
So I'm going to go back to Settled Space. I'm going to go back to her being locked in the locker with the corpse. And all she can do is she hears this little, basically a Roomba, like a space station cleaning Roomba sort of thing, working its way along a corridor. And there has been no sound because she has been welded into a locker in a corridor that is currently unused. So they left her in there to die. They didn't
with a dead person.
With a dead person, yeah. So she's in a corpse, and she's been in there for a while. We established later that it's been like 2 days. So she has not had a chance to die of thirst yet, but she's getting close. Okay,
and she thinks that she is a corpse.
Yeah, she thinks she's dead. She's hallucinating. She thinks she's dead. And so she just wants to have her best friend find out what happened to her body. So she's banging her head against the locker door in the space station as the Roomba goes by, and it alerts the authorities. So that's her failure was to escape on her own and to be at the brink of death. I mean, hallucinating, pushing pretty close to dying of thirst. She has a broken leg. She has a serious infection from this. She is in horrible shape, and they get people in there and they open it up, and she falls out of the thing, still tied, still molly bonded to the corpse. So an unbreakable bond that they have to work off of her with tech. And she thinks she's dead. And she says, you cannot redo a corpse. She has already given up. She knows she's dead. And she says, it's too bad, that they couldn't have found me sooner because you can't redo a corpse. That comes back. That comes back in a big, big way. at the end of the book.
Yeah,
But
and I was gonna also say too, you don't always have to know the ending
I didn't.
to foreshadow it. Yeah, no, I'm saying that yours is a foreshadowing. And yours came naturally, and your writing that actually ended up being part of why you kept the new ending as well. And just to tell everybody, like, that doesn't always have to come naturally. You can, if you write the entire thing and you don't edit and don't revise while you write and you get to the ending, you can learn how to foreshadow stuff. You can bring in the foreshadowing later.
That's something to put in. Yeah, that is something to put in after you have written an entire first draft, which you have not touched.
Yeah. So with the failure here.
Yeah. The failure there was that she was incapable of saving herself. And that failure meant that she was on the brink of death. And if she had not done something, even though it was this thing that she thought was a hopeless gesture, she would have died. Failure would have had even bigger consequences than what it had. But you make sure, this is number 4, you make sure that your reader has a reason to want your character to win. And I cannot even begin to describe how many people have written such unlikable characters that at the beginning of the book, I hoped that they would fail, I hoped it would kill them, and I hoped they would die, and I didn't even stay long enough to find out if they did. You have to create characters that your reader will care about so that when they have this problem and when they don't have the tools to solve it and when they have some half-assed measure they have to take because they don't have the tools, you have to have the reader going, oh, come on, somebody get in there and do something to help her.
Yeah. Yeah, where you want them to succeed. And where I see this fail a lot is it's a mistake that people make when they are trying to be very, very smart about the character. What they do is they have this character that they want to have grow in the book. So they start them out as an asshole. Sometimes it's in romances where he's been hurt and he doesn't like women because of all of the betrayal and because of all of the manipulation. And so then you have this romantic love interest to the female that is garbage, that is a complete asshole, that treats her like shit. And it's her job to change him or what the fuck ever. Now, there's a lot of problems with that. There's a lot to unpack there. But the idea is, when you have a character who you can write an asshole and he's still likable. You can write an asshole that will grow and not be cold and distant by the end. But you have to give glimmer of good personality. You have to have his actions. You can make him be a dick. You can make him be cold. You can make him be distant. But have his actions show that he still has a heart.
Yes.
So if this guy is just a complete douchebag, he is cold and distant and critical of her. Let's say they work together and he's not impressed with her work. He's pointing out all of the flaws. He's pointing out that she spelled these words wrong or that her technical work isn't great. And they're leaving for the day, have him open a door for her. Mm-hmm. Have him if she drops something, have him pick it up and hand it to her. Have him, keep her from falling in her heels that she's uncomfortable with.
Yeah. This is called saving the cat. And if you have a negative character, if you have a character that has to be your protagonist, has to be someone that the reader comes to love, that character can do some bad things, but that character must, in the first scene, before you have lost the reader forever, that character must, in some fashion, save the cat.
The idea is that you have something that character does to show you that he's, worth something. That, and I know that, especially in this political environment right now, with a lot of, the ultra issues that we are having with certain sexes and,
No, everything has issues right now. Everything.
Yeah,
Everything
exactly.
has been politicized.
Exactly. So if you want to write an asshole male character and you want to save him and where he changes because he realizes that all of the times that somebody hurt him, you can't live your life based on that pain. Don't think about all of the people that are going to talk shit about your male character, talk shit about your female character, talk shit about how it's just another aggressive male in this, or if you look on the other spectrum, how it's just another male that's been changed by a female. Don't think about the politics. And I know that's so hard because politics are it's getting shoved down our throats even when we're not looking for it. In the shows that we're watching now, politics is and I know this has always been kind of a thing, but it's just getting worse and worse because we have so many extra shows, we have so much more quote entertainment out there that people are using their voices for, which I respect, but they're getting preachy, which I don't respect. And you see a lot of the things that it can kill your desire to write out of just fear, out of just paralyzation. And I think that this is important. Don't water something down because you're trying to avoid the criticism. The criticism is going to come no matter what you do.
Yes. And that is a beautiful, beautiful point. The people who do not think as you think, and no matter what you think, half of everybody does not think as you think, at least, okay? So no matter where you are on any religious or political or gender or social or whatever spectrum, no matter where you are, there are people on the opposite end from you, and there are people who vehemently disagree with whatever it is you think. They are not your audience, okay? Yeah. You cannot write for everybody, so don't fucking try. Write for the people who love what you love, and don't be afraid to say that you love what you love.
Yeah, and this is a good way to look at it.
Yes.
When you are writing something, let's just say when you're reading something, if you are having a stressful day and you're frustrated with all of the politics, or you're frustrated with all of the hate and the bigotry or whatever it is that's out there, and you pick up a book and that book has your point of view, that book has whatever you believe, and the characters are people that you would love to know. Think about the bravery of that author who took a stance, who isn't making something preachy, who isn't out there to convert people, who is just writing about characters that matter to you because they matter to her or him, and they took they took that bravery to put what they believe on the page. Think about how that changes your state. Think about how good you feel reading that. How good you feel knowing that there are other people out there that believe what you believe, that are brave enough to put it on page. And just remember that you can be that author to other people, that you can help somebody realize that the world might be going crazy. It might have always been going crazy. Every single year people say it's getting worse, but I don't know that it is. I think it's just a continuation. It's just that there's more of it to more of us because there are more of us, and more of us have the connectivity.
It's more
social
visible.
Media. It's just more visible insanity. That's all it is. Just think about how those authors that write what you love make you feel, and think about how you could be that person to other readers. That's all.
Yes.
Just stay strong writing what you love.
Yes.
And put it out in the world.
And that is a word that cannot be minimized, or that cannot be maximized enough. Love. You do not write out of hate. You do not write to diminish someone else. You do not write to hurt people. You write to build something you love, something that puts joy into your day as you create it, and something that someone else will find and love and go, oh, thank you. I have been waiting to think that somebody else loves what I love. And here it is on the page in tangible format, and I get to read it. Thank you.
Yeah. Those are the people that are going to buy the other books that you write. Those are the people that are going to try to find you and be a part of your world in whatever way they can. They're going to follow you. They're going to buy what you write. They're going to write to you. They're maybe going to start their own stuff. It's about putting you got to be vulnerable.
Yes.
I mean, that's the scary thing, is that you are putting yourself on the page, and you are going to have people who absolutely hate you, hate what you stand for, hate what you're writing, hate your characters. I mean, it's not going to be easy to take. It's going to shake you, but at the same time, you're reaching people who matter to you. You're reaching, and that the person who hates you, the people who hate you, they don't matter.
Exactly. You can do so much good by not being preachy, by not trying to shove a point of view down anybody's throat, by simply creating what you love and telling stories that people want to read, and letting somebody else, some poor kid out there who is looking for a proof that there is somebody else in the world out there like that kid. I gotta say, I was that kid. I was that kid who did not know that there was anybody else who saw the world the way I saw it. And I found a few authors when I was a teenager, when I was a little bit older than that, who wrote things that proved to me that I was not the only person like me in the universe. And they changed my world. They changed my world. They gave me a joy that I cannot even begin to describe now. And I can't even figure out why I didn't know then that I wanted to write fiction. It took me years to figure out that I wanted to do this, even after that. But they made the world better for me, and they allowed me to find a way to live in it and to be myself and to be a human being and to know that I was okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and the certain things that we think, and the certain things that the dark periods of our lives and the brightest periods of our lives, and the things that move us and motivate us, when we find those on the page, it means the world.
Oh my God, it does.
To you. I mean, it can be, like you said, life-changing, just to know that another human being out there has your struggles, has that you're not broken, that you're not unfixable, that you're not unlovable or unworthy.
Yeah.
Just because you're different from the people that happen to surround you.
Yes, that if you have lived in a very restricted environment, as I did, you can think that there is nobody else in the world who has ever thought the things you think, who has ever wanted the things you want, who has ever been the person you are. And to discover when you reach a little wider through your reading, oh my God, right there, that person knows what it feels like to be me.
Yeah.
Be that writer.
Yeah. Be that writer. And you don't have to write, you don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be, especially in first draft, it can be trash. And I'm actually really, really looking forward to showing you guys Glass House, because it is garbage right now. And it has nothing to do with what it is going to become. But that's a different kind of fear. I wanted to hit on this because a lot of people will suffer in the beginnings from trying to wash from trying to keep in that fear zone, keep away from definites, keep away from having an asshole character that grows, because you're scared of what people are going to think politically, or having a black female protagonist, or having interracial couples. I know a friend of mine was wanting to write a romance story with a black girl and a white guy, and then she was terrified because of the different things that come from that.
Yeah.
The different reactions, because there are so many. It's not just racist against the fact that there are so many different levels of fear and of people's reactions to that couple. And I told her, okay, well, think about like all of these reactions to this couple, and think about how important it is that there's a story out there that is showing the positives, that is showing a story about love. Like, you have to, in a way, fight over those angry voices to put your voice out in the world. And I think by the time the conversation ended, she realized what I was saying. She got my point of view, because she said she's writing it. So
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can say that no matter who you are, no matter what you think is not good enough about yourself, there is somebody out there who has that same fear. And if you give that fear to a character, you are going to save somebody's life. You are going, honest to fuck. I have received emails from people who, because I wrote what I knew to be true, because I had lived it, and I disguised it in a lot of different ways so that it didn't look like me. But I knew it was true because I had lived it, and I had hit some really bad places in my life, and I got emails from people who said, I am alive because of that specific book, and because I decided that character got through it, and I decided I could get through it because this person you wrote did.
Yeah, so just be brave enough to write what you feel.
Yes.
Be brave enough to because if it's important to you, it's going to be important to somebody else. And I know this might seem off topic, but when it comes to beginnings, it's important to start from the important stuff.
It is important to start. And you are not unworthy.
Yeah.
You the life you have lived, it doesn't just have meaning to you. It has meaning to people you don't even know exist yet. And if you don't write it, you will never know they exist. And if you don't write it, maybe some of them won't.
Yeah. And so, with all of that said, the beginnings, again, like Mom said, it's important to begin, but a lot of people struggle with the beginnings because of that fear.
Mm-hmm.
They just write it. Just write it as is. Remember to, first draft, you're the only one that's going to see it. You can go ahead and be preachy in first draft. You can go ahead and put your stuff, everything out on the page in first draft, because you'll find out what you feel is the important parts, and then you can learn to disguise them and be less preachy.
Yes, exactly.
So, is there anything else with beginnings?
Okay, no, but I do want to go back through those again because we have gone kind of wide here. So give your character a problem to solve. Do not give your character the tools to solve it. Give failure consequences and make sure your reader has a reason to want your character to win. And those are massive. If you can do that, you will have written a good beginning.
So, okay, so we've gone through everything. Is there anything else before the takeaway?
No, I think we are now at the takeaway.
All right, so give it.
Here is the takeaway. The real story only starts after things have gone wrong. So start with things going wrong. That's where you start your story, is with things going wrong.
Yeah. All right. So I think we did a great job on this episode. I mean, I really had a lot of fun.
Me too.
And I think we got some important things in there as well. If you have any questions, if you're still, unclear about certain aspects of a beginning, or, if you felt that there were some things that we didn't cover, please feel free, if you don't have an account yet, hollyswritingclasses.com, create a free account, absolutely free, find the podcast forum. So if you have any questions or anything like that, again, just find the podcast topic. It is how to write story beginnings. And we will, you can leave us some questions. You can put your own input in there. Let us know how, if anything in here struck a chord, or if there's some things that you feel you do with beginnings that help you really get the ideas flowing or the words flowing, anything like that. And then, we can respond. There are other writers in there that can help you out as well. And remember, we are doing the middles and the ends next time, so keep to the beginnings in the forums. We also have a website, alonewithinvisiblepeople.com, and you can go in there and comment on the blog. That's just not a place where people tend to have a whole lot of conversations or anything like that. We also want to mention that Holly has a whole bunch of free writing advice. Go ahead and explain what all is on your blog.
Okay. On my website, it is hollylyle.com, and last name is lisle.com. I have over 100,000 words of writing articles, writing worksheets, or not worksheets, little writing workshops, and tons of blog posts, but just a massive amount of material that is free. You don't have to sign up for anything. It's just on the
there's no email, there's no downloads, really.
It's just on the site. And I have it even set up so that people can print off a PDF. That there's a little thing down at the bottom of every page where you just print the PDF, and you can use the article, you can use the worksheet, you can share the worksheet. I don't care. I was a broke writer. I grew up in mission fields and in trailer parks, and I started with freaking nothing. And I had freaking nothing for a long time. And even when I was a nurse, for a long time, I was a nurse with 2 kids and just scraping by with just us. And I know what it's like to have to do this with no money. So I have just, oh God, lots of resources on just my main site for you. And
so we'll actually, I think that it is actually linked in the show notes, but I will put a parentheses around it to tell you, like, over 100,000 free words of free writing advice and content in there.
Yeah.
And it really, if you are looking for the different things that we mention on here, go to alonewithinvisiblepeople.com and look at the show notes for whatever episode you're listening to, and it will give you the links to all of the sites, to all of the, to like the forums, to Holly's blog with all of the blog posts. If we mention a blog post, we put the link in the show notes. So we try to make it as easy as possible for you to find all of the resources that we do mention in here. Now, speaking of the free and having very little funds to do anything, if you do get the free writing course, the How to Write Flash Fiction, as I mentioned before, by the end of it, if you do the work, you will have 10 stories. You can get that up there and start it selling. And I have done the same thing. And you know what? I'm gonna do it specifically based on probably like a Fulton Hill World, just to show you guys that you can put something up there and you can start selling, and you can make, even if it's just a couple of bucks here and there, it's better than absolutely nothing before. That you are earning money from your writing from a free, 100% free course that just taught you a couple of basic things.
We have guys in the Flash Fiction class who are using the Flash Fiction forum who are doing that now.
Yeah, and there's a free forum in there. You can see other people's successes. You don't need to take my word for it, as Reading Rainbow says. So just go in there, go into the forums, see what other people are doing. You can see some of them have made a decent amount of money on the little Flash Fiction things. When I was doing my pen name, and it was all up on Barnes & Noble before Barnes & Noble just smashed everybody, I was making a decent amount. I was making $5 or $10 a month off of just the Flash Fiction by itself, and I only had I think two up there, and they were making $5 or $6 a month to me. That was my take home off of whatever it is that Barnes & Noble used to take. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're not making anything and then you put two, I think it was just two of the flash fictions up there. Now, I did have other stories as well. So, nothing sells whatever they say, nothing sells the next story like the last story like the next one. And having a big backlog helps, or backlist helps. But yeah, again, you can start making money from a free course that Holly has, which is How to Write Flash Fiction That Doesn't Suck. So moving on, Holly has we are no longer doing Patreon. We have both put up posts about why we disagree, vehemently disagree with the absolute horrible bullshit terms of service that they have, the theft going on there. So we just want to say, if you want to support the podcast, there are several ways. First, support Holly. She is the, kind of the backer of this podcast at the moment. So the majority of the capital put up for this has been from Holly. So that is coffee. And it sounds like the drink, but it's spelled different, as in Green Mile. But it is spelled ko-fi.com. And then you've got, the / Holly Lyle. That's LISLE. It's all one word. So you just ko-fi.com / Holly Lyle. And you can check out, she has a page for support. And the neat thing with Ko-fi.
Yeah, I see it as Ko-fi, so I know it's coffee,
too.
But damn it, it's Ko-fi.
Coffee, but it looks like Ko-fi to me. The neat thing with coffee or Ko-fi is that every donation is in increments of just like $3. So, if you, and it's a buy me a coffee kind of deal. So if you want to give, $3, that's awesome. If you want to give, buy 2 coffees, that's cool. I just had somebody buy me 3 coffees like yesterday. I just looked up and it was like, I was like, hey, that is so cool. Thank you for my 3 quote coffees.
Right. And you can also, if you use the little plus sign over on this, or if you use the thing down at the bottom and it's a paid account, you can subscribe monthly at $3 or $6 or not, whatever. You can set this up to be whatever you want it to be, which is the coolest
and you can
thing
change
ever.
it. Yeah, it really is. It really, really is, because it's also to me it seems like a lot easier than doing a Patreon and stuff.
And
so,
Ko-fi does not take any money from the people who are sending the money. They take it from us.
That's what I was going to mention too.
Yeah.
We pay a flat rate, either monthly or an annual fee, which saves us a little bit of money, but I pay monthly, for the account. Mine is $6. Holly, I don't know what your monthly. It was
I
like
just paid for the year.
For the year, that's what it meant. But
yeah, it was $57 for the year, I think.
See, and I'm paying monthly, so it's $6. So every single penny that comes to us to support our different avenues, our different ventures here, comes to us.
Right.
That is amazing. So you are fully supporting us. So that is Holly's coffee account. The podcast's coffee account is ko-fi.com / alone. That's all, no weird spelling or anything like that. It's just alone in a room with invisible people. So it is alone. And you can support, the podcast. Again, everything is going right now. I need an actual set of headphones because I'm using a 3 or 4 year old pair of phone headphones. There's some Samsung Galaxy headphones. So I would love a real set. Everything right now, I would love to be able to soundproof an empty room that we are not currently using, so I can move everything in there. I need to upgrade different things with the programs that we're using. So I'm also would love to learn more about marketing a podcast and getting it out in front of more people so that we can definitely get more writers that the kind of help and support that they need. So thank you. I also want to say thank you so much to the people who have already supported us. I've got a couple of people that have joined the monthly. I have a couple of people that have paid on a one-time just, whenever they feel like it basis, which if you don't want to subscribe, if you don't want to use coffee, you can go to alonewithinvisiblepeople.com On the right hand side, there is a drop down menu, and there is 3 different tiers of, I think it's like $5, $10, and $15. You can just make a one-time PayPal. It goes straight to my PayPal, and somebody just did one of those too. I saw all of these come in this morning, so it was really, really cool. It is it is just a way to help say thank you for what we're doing, and I just want to say thank you right back, because it is amazing that you guys are supporting us. Another way to support Holly would be to buy any of her fiction, any of her courses if you're interested. Again, I know we mention this a lot of the times. We have stuff on the writer's block, writer's discipline, just all sorts of great classes, and definitely worth the time and investment in her courses. So if you'd like to follow us on Facebook, we are at Alone in a Room with Invisible People on Facebook. We try to post 1 or 2 times weekly, and you can reach us there. The best way to reach us is the email. It is show@alonewithinvisiblepeople.com. And I believe that we've covered everything. Pretty sure I'm good. How about you, Holly?
I think I'm good too. Let me say one more time. You can do this. And that is to every single person who is listening to this podcast. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your level of education is. You can do this. You can find a way. You can learn what you need to know. If you want to do this, by God, you can do this. And it does not have to cost you a freaking fortune or anything. You can do this.